If you're here, you're probably wondering, should I buy an M5? Well, that's what I'm going to tell you today. First, let's hit a quick workout and we'll get right into it. So, you're probably thinking, do I want to buy an M5 E60 or not? Well, that's the question I'm going to try to answer today. So in this video, I'm basically going to tell you guys the goods and bads of my M5 and if I regret buying it or not and whether I think other people should buy it. So let's get started. I think the first thing I would really talk about when buying an M5 or buying any car really, for me, it sounds bad, but it's definitely the looks. Now personally, I would put the M5 right up as the nicest BMW ever built, the M5 E60 that is, and I would put it right up there with probably the BMW E92 M3. It's a beautiful car, but for me, you just can't beat that aggressive front look. And just the subtle mods that BMW decided to put on for this M5 versus the regular 5 Series. So for example, you have just a little lift here, or whatever you want to call it, I guess the mini wing on the back of this M5. Gives it that nice sporty edge. Really sets it apart from the regular 5 Series. The next part would be the exhaust. As you can tell, it's quad tip versus the dual tip on the, or not even, I think it's just a single on the regular 5. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it just gives it that great sporty look. Jesus Christ, try not to fall. It's the subtle changes that they put on the M5 versus the regular 5 that really set this car apart from any sports car out there. So little things like the kidney grill here. One of the best parts of the entire car, really completes the side, makes it look amazing. The sport mirrors, rounded instead of square with the black under side, really make it look a lot nicer. I know the car is super dirty, so it's probably not the best time to do this, but you can see here when it's not super dirty. Jesus Christ. Should have cleaned this car before I did this video, but it's the middle of winter. What are you gonna do? The car wash that I usually take it to is broken down anyway right now and all fenced off, so that's not happening. Next, let's move on to the interior. The interior of the M5 E60, BMW really went above and beyond. Like, it's absolutely insane. This car is a 2006 and it has features that some of the new cars today don't even have. They were so far ahead with their innovation and everything, it's nuts. Let me show you guys some of the things I'm talking about. So there's stuff like the heads-up display that I'll put on the screen right now. That wasn't as common back then, especially not in sports sedans. That's unheard of. This being a 4-door and having 507 horsepower stock, this one has 514. It was insane. That was something that was never heard of. So BMW is really an innovator in implementing that. The next thing is just the colors they decided to go with for the interior options. As you guys can see, this M5 is an Indianapolis red interior. I know I've talked about it a couple times, but I've never really showed you around it. It matches the outside color, the Silverstone 2, so well, and especially in the summer with the sun beating down on it, it's really a good look, and it's a clean, classy look while still being sporty and aggressive. And that's actually the main reason I bought this car. It's the thing that caught my eye, was this interior. It drove me nuts, and I had to have it, so that's really why I picked it up. So the gauges on this car aren't anything too crazy, but they are different. They are the M gauges compared to the regular 5, which doesn't have them. So again, it's nothing too extreme, but it is a slight subtle change that really sets the car apart again from the regular 5, and as a sports sedan really makes it that much more sportier, and so people really knew what kind of car it was meant to be. So for looks wise, for the interior as well, it's just a beautiful car all around. Outside and in, one of the best looking cars on the road, in my opinion. Let me know what you guys think though, because that's just simply my opinion, so it's easy for me to say that. But I want to know what you guys think. What other BMWs you think are the best looking BMWs on the market? For me, it's the M5 E60 and the M3 E92. Those are absolutely beautiful cars, and hopefully I can own an E92 one day. That'd be sick. So, since this is a video about whether or not you guys should consider buying an M5, we also need to talk about power and gas and stuff like that. So like I said earlier, this M5 gets, it's 507 horsepower stock. This one is 514. It's crazy to drive. It's so much fun. Like you get the feeling you're driving a real sports car when you're driving the M5, because it is a sports car, but you wouldn't know that just looking at it. So with 507 horsepower, you have more than enough to rip this thing on the road, have a great time with it, and it's gonna be a fun time to drive. The thing that's not so great about it is the gas. So I'm sure if you've done any research on M5s, you know that this thing absolutely drinks gas. It's terrible. So a thing you have to deal with is putting in premium gas. For me, it's once every week. No, not once a week. Maybe once every 2 weeks, something like that. It's not that big of a pain. It's just expensive, but that's going to be your life with any sports car, really. So you're not buying this car to be fuel efficient or to have an eco-friendly car, because it's definitely neither of those. This thing is a gas guzzler, but that's just literally because of all the power it has and all the fun you have putting that pedal to the metal. It's a great time. The last thing that we are going to talk about is the engine. The M5 E60's legendary V10 S85 engine. This thing is a beast. Like I said, 507 horsepower. I believe BMW once stated that if they could build the engine unrestricted the way they wanted, or if they could take all the regulators off, this car could make, I think it's 210 miles per hour, which I wouldn't know what that is in kilometers. I'll put that up on the screen right now. But the negative about this engine, and if you've done any research on the M5 E60 at all, is you know it's risky. This is one of the engines that BMW has made that is known to break down. With 10 cylinders, you're gonna have problems. These cars are now between 12 and 8 years old, 8 and 12 years old. So the engines are starting to age. As long as you take care of them, it's not a big deal. You hear all the horror stories about guys buying these cars and the engine's breaking down and them having to pay $4,000 or $5,000 to repair it and everything. Mine's a 2006, it's the oldest of the models, and it's got 182,000 kilometers on it, which is very high, but the previous owner took good care of it, and now that I've had it for the better part of 2 years and a bit, I'm taking good care of it. And as long as you do that, make sure you get the oil changed when you need it, take it in for checkups if you don't know how to do them yourself, and as long as you do that, you take care of the car. It's like anything. If you baby it, it's gonna baby you. You're gonna love it. It's gonna be your best friend, and it's gonna turn heads when you drive down the street, I promise you. So guys, as a final verdict, I know it's a biased opinion. I'm trying to be as unbiased as I can. But in general, the consensus seems to be people love the look of this car. outside and in, it's one of the best looking BMWs ever made. Interior wise, it's a beautiful car, aged very well in today's modern world. Nothing to complain about in that department. Power wise, puts out 507 horsepower stock, does guzzle gas a lot. You're gonna have a high gas bill, but you're gonna love every second of it because every time you get to drive this car, you're gonna think you're driving a Formula One car. The S85 engine, the V10, has had problems in the past, but as long as you take care of it, it'll take care of you. So, final verdict, guys, definitely, if you're thinking about it, grab yourself an M5 E60, one of the best sports cars ever made in my opinion, and I only think it's gonna get higher in value with age. So definitely something to hold on to. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I will catch you in the next one, and as always, thank you.